The wires in high-voltage power lines are not enclosed in rubber insulation, they are simply fixed on supports with insulators and thus electrically only touch the source and consumer of the current. However, it is not uncommon to see birds sitting on these wires. It turns out that the birds grab a bare wire through which a huge current flows. So why don't they suffer? The fact is that when the bird sits on the wire, a parallel connection of the conductors is created. The bird itself serves as one guide, and the section of the wire under the feet of the bird serves as the other. The resistance of the bird is many times greater than the resistance of the wire, so a negligible current flows through it, which cannot damage it. With a parallel connection, the total current is distributed between parallel sections of the circuit in inverse proportion to the resistance. However, birds can still die if high-voltage power lines are mishandled. To do this, it is enough for her, sitting on the wire, to touch the metal part of one of the supports that hold the wires. These supports are obviously grounded as they are installed on Earth. In addition, now the resistance of the bird is much less than the resistance of the air, with which it creates a parallel connection in this case. Therefore, the current strength that will flow through the bird will be enormous. A current of such great force will literally incinerate the bird almost instantly. These rare birds, touching the wires and the poles at the same time, are the only victims of the fact that the wires in high-voltage lines are not enclosed in insulation, but only isolated from the poles. At the same time, the cases of death of birds do not in any way affect the process of electricity transmission, do not harm or violate it in any way. That is why the wires still remain without insulation, because it would be very expensive and difficult to enclose them in it. In addition, it should be noted that only high-voltage power lines are not isolated from the external environment and air. They are suspended very high on huge supports. But those wires that diverge from substations to people's houses, to lamps, and so on along low-height poles, are already equipped with insulation along their entire length. At least this is provided for by modern electrification technology. In these wires, located at a much lower height, by the way, not so much current flows, and the voltage across them is less. And since they are completely enclosed in isolation, they no longer threaten the birds at all. Although the reason for such insulating these wires is primarily the safety of people who, although with difficulty, can also come into casual contact with them. After all, these wires are much more common, and they are much closer.